gonna have some fun doing some painting today. I don't know what I'm gonna paint. Something in this realm, but I was gathering a lot of reference earlier.
Hey James.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, are we meant to like have our mics on or talk at all? This is my first time.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, you can chime in and you can
Nice.
have a conversation. It's all yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome to hear your voice. I took your class AB1 last year, I
Uh
think
huh.
last year, year before, and I having taken it, if I could make that mandatory for everyone who wants to do concept art, I totally would. It
Oh,
was
right on.
such a great class, and I just want to thank you for it. I still we sort of formed a group after that class. That your whole hunt elephants together, not rabbits alone thing, and
Yeah,
we
yeah.
still meet every single week since that class, and it's awesome.
Oh,
So
that's
thank you again.
great. Heck
Yeah.
yeah, man. That's super cool to hear. So I don't know. Could you let I guess other people know like what was like the class about, and I guess what was something that was like, why do you think it's important for other people to learn this stuff?
God, I mean, there was so much. I just think I had even the first 2 weeks, I had definitely consciously thought about um, what I wanted for myself, I wanted for myself in concept art. But I don't think I ever considered it that deeply with the level
Mm,
of not that you had to follow it to a T, but we sort of made a 5-year plan.
mm-hmm.
Even not that any plan survives first contact, but to think consciously about the things that you did, the things that you want down to the details, really helps, I think, to force yourself to give yourself a realistic look at what your life can be like going forward and doing this.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's just like the first week I think that we were doing that.
yeah.
Obviously, all of the advice you give afterwards with getting jobs and the interview processes and like
Hmm.
freelance work and all that.
Oh,
But yeah,
nice.
honestly, the whole goal setting thing, even more so than I'd done it before, was like really, really informative and definitely helped. So thanks.
Oh, that's cool. Good to hear. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, I hope that
So,
wasn't a long-winded answer. I'm sorry.
oh no, no, that's great. I think that's some good feedback.
Yeah,
That kind of
definitely.
class, at least when I started working. So back at Art Center, there was this one class that it was kind of mandatory to take for illustrators. No other major had to take this class because illustration usually went into this freelance route. So they wanted to teach illustrators like this whole mindset of small business. So it was called small business management. That was like actual class, and it was like this, you know, academic class. And you had to balance along with the, sort of like your art classes. But anyhow, it went over like really valuable things like taxes and copyright and just things that were like, oh man, like this is actually pretty important stuff, Um, contracts, rates, taxes, and all this kind of stuff that was just like, oh man, yeah, this actually might be good to know. So
Yeah, no, absolutely. I actually I didn't even think about it because I didn't do it, you know, like because of your class. Like I definitely knew about it because of your class, but I started an LLC like this past year to sort of help with all that, and yeah, it's like now having all the notes from that class, it really helps. So
oh,
yeah,
right on, dude. Nice. That's cool.
um,
Well, well. So what are we chatting about today? Here. What's on the business? I had a topic that was, I mean, we can just kind of run with. But it was on this topic of like a diploma. You know, there's always been this kind of like thought about, is a diploma like necessary in this field of work? You know, like what do you guys think about that? Or what's your experience with having having to like, I don't know, the interview like have parents that are like, oh, you have to get a diploma.
I know me personally, like I just graduated last year and
Uh
it
huh.
doesn't really help me much. I got like a month after I graduated, I got my first contract, but now I'm still looking for work. But
Hmm.
like no one has asked me about it. at all. They just like look at my portfolio and whatever. Me personally
Uh-huh.
though, like I was pressured by my family because
Hmm.
they put a big emphasis on that on portfolio. I mean on getting a degree and making sure that like you have that paperwork and
Hmm.
I don't know. They think it legitimizes you, but I think things changed a lot
Yeah.
since their younger days.
Yeah. What's like your background? Where are you from?
I'm from Connecticut. Um, I initially did I have a bachelor's in psychology, but then I
Uh-huh.
decided to switch into art back in 2020
Oh,
because
right on.
yeah, because I really loved it and I was like, well, this is my chance to like really take that on. So then I went and started taking classes at Academy of Art University uh,
Hmm.
back in 2020. Did a master's program because it was cheaper to just get a master's rather than do another 4 years.
Sure.
Did that and yeah, but if I honestly were to do it again, I mean, I remember honestly talking to my parents. I was like, "Hey, there's a school called Brainstorm, and they are a lot cheaper, and I could do this. I feel like that'd be a better route." They're like, "Nah, you need to get a degree." So
Mm. Hmm. Hmm.
yeah, so that was. I think it's just a personal thing, like for different families. Um, I wish I honestly stuck my ground with it, but I was just like, what, 21, 22 years old.
Yeah, right.
So
Whoa.
you don't really know what at that point like I don't know what life is really about and stuff like that.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Right.
Just go
Yeah,
by
I understand what you mean.
yeah, what people you just go by what people around you tell you to do for the most part. Some people are actually really brave. Um, I wasn't,
Mm.
but yeah, that's my experience.
Also, I think it's like it also depends on your age too, you know? Like definitely because it so okay, so when some of the people that I went to art school with, they were all different age. So I remember the some of the younger people were like in their early 20s, and then it went all the way up to like 45 years old. That was the age range in like these classes that we would attend. So all these people were like in really different walks, right? They were either kind of like doing like studying something different in college and then doing something more in the art realm. It's kind of crazy. There's like so many different like paths that people have taken. A lot of people like did like architecture, and things like that. So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I think like it's not a bad thing that we all go through different paths and stuff like that because I think it like enriches the art that we create. Everyone has a different like experience that they could draw from. Like I used to work in like a group home for like foster kids and using my other degree and that was very enriching and like I learned a lot about their experience and
Hmm.
stuff like that. So um,
You know,
yeah,
what's funny about experience and then influencing your art. What's so funny about that? It's so true because um, like on the opposite spectrum of that statement. Okay, so um, there's this artist named Jamie Jones, and then he was down in L.A. for a little bit, and then we're all just like meeting up with him and some other concept artists, and then what ended up happening was we all just kind of started hanging out, and then he he started looking at like a lot of the art that we had, like just like portfolio pieces. Everyone's like sharing their websites or whatever, and he was mentioning he goes like, man, all the people from Art Center, like you guys draw the same, like everyone like has like the same aesthetic or same like techniques or something, because you learn from like the same teachers, like so to speak. So
yeah.
I thought it was very very funny that was being mentioned, because if you're all from the same place and just doing the same assignments and everything, then guess what? Like you're gonna eventually look the same too.
Mm,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
I
that's
did the
so
same way
funny.
too when I was at. art. Like he had similar, like a similar like sort of viz dev style that he had just going on.
Uh-huh.
Very interesting. Like you can see who comes from who if you really like look closely.
Yeah, right. That's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So where's everyone else from? Let's kind of see what's going on with the whole group here. It's like helmet almost looks like a Batman helmet now. It's fun.
Oh man, I can go. I mean, I feel like we've already we've already had class together a while ago,
Uh-huh.
but I'm from Pennsylvania, and yeah, no, I mean, I don't. Or did you were you looking for everyone's opinions on the whole college thing, or just introducing
Sure, yeah,
yourself,
yeah.
or
Just chime in,
yeah,
chime
no.
in.
I mean, it's funny. Before I get into that, Christian here on the call is part of the group that I was mentioning, and he's the one who actually started it after your class. So it's good to see him here too, Christian.
Oh, that's
Um,
sick.
yeah, his camera's on. But yeah,
Hello,
no,
guys.
from Pennsylvania. I went to college in England. I was doing visual effects before I got into concept art. I sort of switched to doing concept art my last year. I think I knew going into that, and this is just purely my opinion. I did know going into that and especially then there were very few people who had degrees. Or I mean, I don't think I knew anyone who had a degree going into visual effects, and I
Hmm.
think going into that was probably still one of my greatest regrets going to college for it. I don't think that there are really any visual effects schools that will give people a good enough education to succeed any more so than people would on their own.
Uh-huh.
Um, and then, that's just coming at from a visual effects perspective. I think with concept art, there seem like there are a few accredited places. I think that that'll give you a diploma that will like maybe. It seems like Art Center, their basics are really solid, and places like New Edge definitely are. But yeah, I mean, I can definitely say I think I don't think there is a lot of um, advantage to necessarily doing that. I think the most powerful thing you can find really is a really committed group of people who you want to learn from, and mentors above you, and people to mentor yourself. I think that probably
Mm-hmm.
something that you can find a lot of different places now, other than an accredited institution. But
Right.
that's just my opinion on it. I think as long as you have a path you're following, like just keep going, it'll be fine.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with a lot of that because it's one of the things was back in when I went to art center, there were it was really about the people that I went to class with and that I continue to grow like from each term. Like you go to this class with the same guys, girls and guys, and
Mm-hmm.
group you end up like meeting them, getting to know them really well, and you guys like kind of create bonds and teach each other things. I learned so much from other students, you know, like my peers, than I did. I wouldn't say more so than the teachers, but it was like wow, like I'm learning so much from like just like people like my classmates and stuff. Um, and back then, and the reason I'm saying this is because back then that was like the only place where that was. You know what I mean? Like it. The internet was like non-existent. Um, there was no way to know about like these meetups. There was no like social clubs that did this kind of stuff. So now it's a completely different landscape of learning. If you're driven and you have see here's the kicker word. You have to have like the right igniter, the thing that ignites you to work really hard. For some people,
Truly,
like,
yeah, yeah.
for some people, like you can just do it on your own. Other people, it's like they have to pay a lot of money for an institution to like go be like, okay, because it's so expensive, I'm gonna like really work my butt off.
I
Whatever.
was just thinking that. That's so funny you mentioned that. That's exactly what I really going through my experience in college. We had a class of I think 15 or so people. It was very small in our one major,
Uh
and
huh.
I think there are only two of us, me and one other person, who are still even trying to get into the industry.
Mm,
And that course, I think the majority of the time, people would only work on their work in class, which was 2 days a week because of the pandemic, and that was it. I think definitely finding people who have that same igniter, or at least something that is pushing them to, and then
Mm-hmm.
aligning yourself with them is, yeah, I totally agree. It's funny
Yeah.
you use that word. That's exactly what I was. Yeah,
It's kind of a, because everyone has like these different motivations, right? Like, and like, just to be like super honest, like, you know, I definitely wouldn't. Oh man, I would have had to been really lucky to meet the right people, um, that would have like driven me in the way that I feel that I was when I was driven at that art school, at art center. It's like, man, I think I really needed that. I don't know. I wonder. I'm so curious. I don't know if I could have, to be honest. Like, credit to people that are able to like really get that work done and do it kind of like on this more like, online basis kind of a thing. But it's, man, it. I know it's definitely can't be easy.
yeah. Do you think, as you mentioned that, do you think it was something like the pressure, or do you mean just the collective, constant, like conversation that you would have with people, or
I
maybe
don't.
both?
Yeah, I don't think I just would have had the ability to concentrate like that. That's just for me. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
man, I don't know. I don't know. It's a good question. I think for some of it though, to be honest, it's I really enjoyed like being outside and not being at home and doing art at school, and being in these classes, because I guess I wasn't really ever like doing art courses, when I grew up. So actually kind of doing that stuff was really fun. It was very exciting, you know. So being at the art school I think was very nice. But
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, I'm just like painting. I'm just gonna I don't really have a direction right now. I'm like using that dude as a base, but we'll see. We'll see how this all goes. Any of you guys excited for some new movies coming out? Wonder
Oh
what's.
man.
Yes. I'm really excited for the new Mission Impossible. Yes.
Oh, cool. That's like, I think Tom Cruise basically like owns that franchise, right?
Yeah. I
Yeah,
feel
that's
like
cool.
he's 62 now. Like he still runs. That's like
Man, he's
yeah.
a he's a testament of like, do what you love and just do it like hardcore, man.
Yeah, what is it? I think he said he watches. I mean, I think at a certain point, I don't know if he's still doing it, but he was like, I watch one movie a day, like one whole movie every day. That's a lot. And I mean, yeah, if you're that curious and that obsessed, like, yeah,
Mhm. Mhm. You know what I like about him though is that he goes pretty extreme. You know, like I'm into cars and stuff, so like I'll know a thing or two when they talk about cars. And this guy does like, man, he's like not renting. Yeah, I guess like renting like F1 cars and take them to the racetrack and just like renting the whole like race team. It's crazy, man. Like, he's doing it in a legit way.
yeah, yeah.
What else? What other movies are coming out? Let's see. Or games. Anything fun on the horizon of video games, or just anything?
Someone said they're excited for Fast and Furious 11. And then the next person said they're excited for the new Super Mario Brothers animated film.
Oh, there's gonna be another one?
Well,
Hell yeah, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah, they're making so much money. Of course, they're gonna make it like just keep
Hell
going.
yeah, dude. Wait, do you guys even know the metrics on the first Mario? I think it only took $50 million or $100 million to make, and then it made over $1 billion.
really, wow.
Yeah, it made
That's
over $1 billion. That's next level, dude.
this is the one with Chris Pratt in it as Mario. Is
Yeah,
that the
yeah,
one?
yeah. The recent Mario.
Wow.
Isn't that nuts? Illumination, I think that's the company, the studio that makes it.
Yeah, I think it's a French group. Yeah, they made it. And then
They're
yeah, there's
they're
a lot.
they're great. They have like a system down, man. When they're like making movies, they're good. But yeah,
Another person said they were.
oh, go ahead.
No, sorry, I was just saying another person said they were hyped for GTA 6, but my bad.
Oh, I know, man, dude. There was articles saying that the movie box office is expecting a slump on the opening weeks of GTA.
Really?
I was like, dang, man. That game is amazing. I haven't
Man,
played it since like Vice City or something. It's pretty old, but it's kind of crazy. After I don't know how old you guys are, but after a while, when you look at some of these games that have lasted for so long, and they become these like ginormous moneymaker, humongoy like franchises, they were just like a game at one point, but now they're like, it's pretty crazy. I guess he's standing on a rock in the snow.
man, you know what's fun? I mean, I'm not sure exactly what your intention is with the live streams as it goes, like as to a conversation, but I do notice there are a lot of different Discord servers or channels that do the events that you kind of do, and with like very famous artists, and I feel like every time I do join those, everyone else is usually muted except for me and the host, and I really don't want to monopolize the conversation or anything, but
Dude,
man, you guys got to
why is
unmute your
that
mics.
though?
Yeah, I think I got over the fear. Like, I mean, the artists that you are, that I think a lot of these people are just like, you guys are like celebrities to us. So I think at a certain point, I was just so sick of being nervous. I'm just like, I'm just gonna send it. But
Oh yeah,
man,
man. I would say on this end, it makes it so much more helpful when there's someone to talk to.
that's exactly what I thought. Okay. That makes me a lot more comfortable. Cool.
Yeah, and like it's not doing anything bad. Like it's totally a good thing because I'm like, oh yay. The worst if you guys ever do have that opportunity where you're talking to like a group like this, and there's either like a bunch of blank screens with like initials, or there's like a face. It's just like our human nature, like there's going to be so much more better response to the face. But so thank you
Totally.
for being the
Yeah.
voice.
No, yeah. Kason actually said that same thing when I took his first class. He was like, your teachers will remember you more if your camera's on.
Oh,
Um,
totally, totally.
Someone else asked the question: does the brush matter when you're painting? What makes you keep? I guess there's two different questions. Does the brush matter when you're painting, and also what makes you keep being motivated to work daily?
Oh, so I've gotten into I get into these little personal work, like flavor of the month type of things, where like, I'm just trying to work on a bunch of paintings like this for, I don't know, I think that the goal was to do like 100 of them. And as the first initial ones were to just like paint with, paint a tree or paint a rock or something, eventually grew into like these other subject matters and so on and so forth. So that's kind of just what these are. But um, let me see. Oh, talking about brushes. So I just use a series of brushes that are. I guess here, let me kind of put them down here. So there's this kind of brush. There's something like this. Um, and if you kind of look at it, they make like different marks, right? Like one, you kind of control it, you almost draw with it, right? One, you can almost feel like, you can like layer. Imagine these like being different colors. You can get like a lot of layering and texturing through that. So there's like noise. There's noise here. And so when I look at this photo, I'm just trying to look at noise. Um, so like for example, this guy standing over here, his chainmail is very noisy compared to like even the metal and the leather forearm guard. Those are like two different materials, but the way it's lit, it's just like one shape. It's just more unified. So there's less noise on that forearm guard, and there's a lot of noise on the chainmail. So it's kind of like trying to find the brush that mimics the noise. So noise for me is like is about contrast. Like you have to have an area of no noise, like white. There's no noise in there, and then outside of it, it looks noisy, right? So if the tree can be noisy, then the snow's probably just going to be really really simple. There has to be the contrast, Or it can go vice versa, right? You can get the trees just to be a simple shape, and then go kind of crazy on the snow, But that's kind of where the thought process is for the brushes, at least. Yeah, because it's like making marks, Just so hopefully that helps.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so here's the thing: is I'm doing digital painting right now, almost in a way where if I was painting in real life. Does that kind of make sense? Um, so even just like toning and just putting down the sketch and like chiseling out like silhouette, it's kind of going in these phases is kind of an approach that is kind of traditional. It's a lot of ways like you'd paint in like an acrylic or oil or something. So that's for some reason just something that I'm just into lately. But if it was just for like like paint digitally, like to just use Photoshop and technology to its max, and I'd probably use a whole different series of techniques than what I'm doing right now. So I had this one post that actually got a lot of people to they responded to it, which was like I had this one painting of a knight that I did, and I just broke down the steps, and I was like, like just go slow, don't go fast. And it for some reason a lot of people were just like, yeah, dude, thank you for saying that. Like it's not always about going fast. And so I'm just like saying, yes, slow it down every once in a while. If I wanted to just like get a photorealistic rock, you know how easy it is, like just to do it in Photoshop so fast. But this is kind of like a different labor. It's actually like some of these paintings that I do of just like some random knight or a you know a gladiator. It takes so much longer than if I was just doing just painting. You know what I mean? Or you guys know what I'm saying. It just takes so much longer if I just like did photo bash and shortcut techniques and stuff. But I feel like Craig Mullins said this in this last talk in Paris. He goes, I lose my ability to paint the more I use photos. And I was like, oh wow, that's kind of true. You like gotta go back and almost recalibrate yourself, like to the most basic, you know, which I thought was like a really I thought that was cool.
Did
Insight.
you say it's like you turn I mean, maybe it's a common term, but like it's a perishable skill. It's something you have to
Mm.
keep using, otherwise you might lose it. I mean,
Oh, totally, totally. And that's when your eye is, better than your hand, and that's a different zone.
mm.
Yeah.
James,
Yeah.
when you're doing your study, do you have like a topic? Do you do some layout for the composition, or you're just
take two image and you try to merge them together, like the element of the image. What's your thought process for your daily drawing, painting?
Oh, some of them I just do a straight copy. Some of them are just a copy. So every week I just rotate, and the goal is like Monday, Tuesday, just copy, and then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, try to combine. Like take two photos and just combine it, right? And then on the last day, last couple days, see if you can just invent it, you know? So that's my process is so like that like here I'll just show you. I don't know where the photo is, but like here's my daily painting folder, guys. But I'll do stuff like this a lot. Um so this was one of the breakdowns. I just straight copied a photo, just copied the photo, even the background, everything. But later on, my goal is to eventually do this. So the bottom sketch is the photo. Okay, this is exactly how the color palette was, right? This is what the photo looked like. But I'm trying to reinvent like the background just on my own. So it's kind of like going a little bit more faster and maybe evolving it through the 7 days of the week, you know. So right now we're at Wednesday, which is I've done a few copies. I've done a little bit of playing around, so I'm just gonna uh try to like combine and see where it goes, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So that's kind of the idea. That's the thought process at least.
And do you have like a goal you're trying to reach, like a goal like you I want to be better on this, or I just want to be more present on social media? Do you have a goal for this all these daily you're doing?
Oh man. Okay, so part of doing it on social media is one, it's a great way to stay accountable. you know.
Yeah,
And number two is maybe there's a way to just get more people involved and want to do it, and stuff like that. I was always kind of like the the friend who would be like, "Hey, let's all do this," and always try to encourage people. And so yeah, that's kind of it. I I I wanted to spend time also just getting a little bit more back into some of my art, because oftentimes as like a creative director or art director, art is something that you do a little bit less of more and more. And this is like kind of like my time. This is almost like I'm being selfish. Yeah, it's like my
great.
playtime.
That's good.
And so I just picked a number. I'm like, yeah, it'll be cool to just do like 100 days. I want to paint for 100 days straight. You know, and it was what I learned about this so far. So I'm at like day 40, I think. Um, what I learned about painting for 40 days straight is that it's actually really hard to paint one painting a day.
Mm.
Somehow you're like, oh, I want to squeeze in one more. Like the
Want
first
to
week it
do
was
more?
challenging. What's that?
You want to do more than one painting?
Yeah. That's what ends up happening. Because every once in a while there'll be like a breakthrough. Like I'll learn something, and I'm like, oh, I want to do it again. You know what I mean? Like I just get excited about it. So there's these days where I'm like, I'll get all my work done. I'll do stuff early so I can like sit and do like 5 paintings or something. You know,
Yeah.
and then that's when I know I'm really into it. If I start planning my day around that kind of play time, then then that means I'm hooked.
Do you have any time limit for your training?
Oh, just these? Not really. They range. That's a hard question to answer. Some of them I would say I think I would say anywhere from like 20 minutes to like 2 hours is probably the longest one. But I don't do the 2 hour ones too often.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is cool. It's cool to see like how you paint the soldier, and after you try to mix together with the environment and building new image. It's pretty nice to see it.
it's like it's just enjoying. It was funny because earlier I was getting asked like, oh, like how come you're painting like whales like flying in the air, right? And I was like, I don't know. It's just I thought of it and I put it down and it looked kind of cool and just I kept on doing it, you know. And so that's kind of the mindset here, It's pretty
You're
funny.
gonna have a call from Hideo Kojima. Yeah, oh, you got my idea, or come work on my new game.
Oh, dude, you never know, man. That'd be so cool, right?
Yeah, he likes whales a lot.
Oh, nice, nice. And it's funny because as a concept artist, like I'm always under this mindset of I have to like have new ideas, new ideas, new ideas. So I've been doing this whales flying in the air with space explorers for like I don't know, maybe like 6 paintings or 7 paintings already.
Yeah.
And I'm all trying to shoot it from like a similar perspective. It's all a similar narrative, but I'm trying to see if I can reinvent it. It's a challenge. Um, it exercises like a different muscle for a concept artist to see if you can reinvent the same idea over and over again. And so I just picked some random subjects that I thought would like that hopefully I wouldn't get tired of painting, you know?
Hmm.
So sometimes I'll see a color palette. I've been just like surfing the internet on my phone or Instagram, and I'll see a photo of colors, and I'm like, oh, that's gonna be a flying whale right there. Like I'll just start seeing like my world and other photos and stuff, which I think is cool. It's like I'm getting inspiration.
Yeah, all this image about the soldier and the whale, they almost started to build some story or give you some idea for some story. It's good.
Yeah, it's almost like going backwards, right? It's like not having a story at first, but then you almost like come up with one eventually.
Yeah, you get inspired from your study.
That's right. That's right.
So,
You
do
know?
you have
Uh-huh.
uh, like some technique for idea generation? So, let's say a client give you one topic, like you have to explore a lot with
Mm,
different idea. And
absolutely.
do you have any thought process for that, like to
Oh,
doing?
yes, totally, totally. So when it comes to like developing ideas, it becomes almost like a scientific method of discovery and experimentation and discovery and experimentation. And the more you think of yourself less as an artist and more of like a experimental scientist using art as your language, the more you can kind of think in this way. So think about it like this. Um, it's like math. It's puzzles. This is all puzzles. Um, Everything in this world is made out of three shapes, right? Okay. So you have three shapes to work with. Everything that's built in this world follows a rhythm of like big, medium, and small in some way, shape, or form. So that's another parameter rule. And so like and one of the things about solving a design is this: we never try to throw to the bullseye. That's impossible. It's literally impossible to ask to show James Cameron a design and be like, can you approve this now? It's like, I need to see it in evolution. I need to see what you discover and see what we talk about and then put in my input so that we build it. So really the goal is about showing the next step. That's really where the magic is, you know? So um, I like to ask a lot of questions. Research is like super important, but when I was working at when I was doing a lot of work with Disney for like their theme parks, like Marvel, Spider-Man, and Guardians of the Galaxy theme parks, we would do things that were called directional options, right? And directional options means this: where are we going? I don't know. You could either go north, east, south, or west. Those are directional options, right? So as a designer, you have to figure out what means north, east, south, or west, right? Maybe you do a whole bunch of square explorations, triangle explorations, circle explorations, right? Then you get the client's reaction. Then they go, oh, I kind of like that. Oh, triangles. I'll take a note. You like triangles. Then you go into more narrowed down exploration, okay, which is digging a deeper hole into that one area, where then you just go crazy on triangles, right? That's the basic method, you know. Um, Oftentimes, I was under the impression that we had to like be this design genius and like design the end result now. No, I was like completely, you know what I mean? I was under the wrong impression. It's actually about, oh, we work together. I show you what's, to step B, and then you meet me at step B, and you tell me, oh, this is what's kind of working. That not that one, because sometimes art directors know certain things. They know that someone else is working on another character, so you shouldn't use that shape. For example, bad example, but it happens. So you're like, oh, that's why he said squares. So it's really about getting kind of like that initial reaction. After a while, uh, the idea is to just have it be like a fluid conversation and let it be really easy, but that's kind of the in a really vague way. That's kind of how I approach design. You know, I have to think about the north, east, south, or west. So if like when we talk about like this, um, sci-fi military. Okay, give me 4 directional options of what already exists out there. Everything already exists.
You like asking a
Yeah,
question to us, or
yeah. Give me
like what?
4 military sci-fi IPs.
Oh, IPs.
Metal Gear,
Halo. What? Call of
military,
Duty. Like one of them
Splinter
is probably
Cell.
sci-fi.
Yeah, you guys just did the whole map, right?
Yeah.
Any IP is gonna land somewhere, right? Inside of those, maybe also with a borrowing of like Lord of the Rings or like Magic, and then you already know the parameters of the project. Then you already narrowed down half of the designing that you should or shouldn't be doing.
Is this like we were in your class? I still remember you saying this. It's in my notes, but you talked about when you're working with an art director and they're giving the brief and you're asking and you said to basically I'm trying to think of the right word, but like to water things down. So like as an artist, you would ask the art director. So you're basically asking for something like Halo, right? And then you can
Mm,
sort of get big movements done faster. Like you understand the ideas faster. Does that
yeah,
make
yeah,
sense?
yeah, yeah. That's it's
Is
it's
that what you're
very
trying to go
true.
for?
Yeah, because oftentimes, and this isn't the way often like artists speak. You know, they don't say like, oh, my piece is gonna look like Craig Mullins and Jamie Jones, right? Like they say like, oh, it's like a spaceship, and they talk about the idea, right? But the end result oftentimes is we are trying to emulate like this person artist and that artist, and we put it into our work. But the way a lot of producers, directors, game developers, the way they think and speak is like, it plays like this game. The visual is like this. The color palette is like that movie. So when I start talking to directors, they're like talking about this scene, and if you guys haven't seen this movie called Children of Men, you guys should watch it. It's pretty dope. Clive Owen's in it, but it's about there's the world is unable to have children anymore. Okay, so the youngest person in the world is like a celebrity, and they find a pregnant woman out of the blue and becomes this protected person, right? It's kind of it's like dystopian future. It's a really cool movie. You should watch it. But anyway, there's a scene in there that there's like sci-fi. You could tell it's London. You could tell it's in the future by its subtle plays on design. And I remember when I was working on this, like I think it was like Titanfall or something. They were like, "Yeah, watch that movie. Like, we want to push future, but like believable, like that." So they'll point me in the direction of north. But I have to know as a concept designer, well, there's north, there's northeast, there's northwest, there's like all these variables of north. So I gotta explore that. You know. So oftentimes they talk in analogies of different projects. So it's good. It's good to like almost who said that Tom Cruise watches a movie a day. That person must have such a library of scenes and like moments in their head. It must be insane.
Do you think, James, this is a thing I'm doing lately? Like I started a week ago. I was thinking to do this before, but I didn't do it. But I started doing it right now.
Uh-huh.
Uh, when I watch a movie, because I don't know if you know, but basically, when we watch a movie or we are in a conversation, we were the next day we remember almost like 5% of
Hmm.
that conversation. So as an artist, you want to save those idea. And like if you watch a cool movie, like you want to save as much as possible. Maybe like the movie you said in your head, you have like a couple of image of the movie, but if you watch the movie, there are a lot of other cool stuff that you forget about it. So
Mm-hmm.
what I'm doing right now, like I'm writing down like a little bit of the story of the movie and some cool stuff about the movie, like design or like what's the hook of the movie for the future. Like I'm just taking notes like for the future. So if I want to make a game or whatever movie, who knows in the future, like
Mm-hmm.
can be a more useful library because you write down with your mindset that you have at that moment. You know,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
can be it's like almost like your opinion at that point because if you watch a trailer, like it's all it's a trailer, but if you watch a full movie and you take some notes, can be I believe can be really helpful, like as a library, and maybe and I'm even drawing a little bit, like drawing some scene of the movie with some fast drawing and then I'm doing like loose drawing so I can see different things. So I'm not copy 100%. If I see this like a year later,
Yeah.
that character might look different, and this can be like a cool stuff, like to do a version. You take inspiration, but it's different from that. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah, this is what I'm doing lately, just to like try
Oh, that's
to.
great. That's cool. Man, movies, you're right. It's like movies especially, it's one of those things where if I watch the same movie twice, I'll see things completely differently, you know?
Yeah.
And you know what's kind of interesting? I I I tried doing like the same rock painting like 6 times, you know? It's like it sounds almost like stupid, but try it. Try doing the same painting 6 times, right? Just like watching a movie 6 times, you're gonna learn things that you're like, whoa, I didn't know I knew that. There's like a different. First of all, it takes a lot of. It. Not a normal person would do the same painting 6 times. Most time we just do it once and like we'll call it done, right? Like honestly, we'll go to the next one. But try it. Just try it. See what happens. I will guarantee you'll just be like at the least you'll come up with like 6 cool paintings. But you'll come up with I think like a really deep understanding of things. I think it'd be really cool.
Yeah, are you saying like for like any topic, like it's a more
Hmm.
efficient way to study? Example, you study hair or drapery, you do the same exercise, and every time you discover like new thing.
Yes, exactly.
or you try to change it a little bit? What you do?
I would try to do it the same, you know, just do it the same. I think inevitable. There's a part where you will change it, you know, and it's impossible for us to do six of the same thing, you know, let alone two of the same thing. But in the attempt of trying to do that, I think it's kind of something special, you know. All right, I'm like fiddling around this gentleman over here. Let's paint this dude. But
One, oh, sorry.
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. What's up?
No, someone had written in the chat like 10 minutes ago. I read their question. They
Sure.
said,
What's up?
or I think it's
Uh,
sorry, it's Dhanush. You could.
Sir, hi, this is Dhanush. I am from India. Sir, I have a
Hello.
doubt. Recently, I see most of the people don't practice basics like painting and perspective. They're directly jumping into photo bashing, blender assets. Is it good or not? What will be the difference between both people?
Oh man. Um. So I would say this. What a concept artist would get hired for is it varies from company to company, and it's very important that an artist knows foundation. You know, um, so photo bashing, it's such a powerful like tool to know, you know, and it shortcuts a lot. But in order to do really good, effective photo bashing, like the artists would ideally would need to know a lot of the basics to be able to control, the photo, you know. And so I think that's what's important is like, let's say you work in a studio, or like the photo bash portfolio gets a lot of, like, gets an opportunity and so on and so forth. I think it quickly falls apart inside of the studio once there's a necessity to do like turnarounds or anything that's a little bit different than what they have in their, techniques, um also, there's not a lot of studios that are like, we absolutely need a person that does photo bashing, you know. um Oftentimes when we do photo bashing, it's for like a certain type of result, right? It's for a result of like high fidelity. There's a lot of information. Oftentimes it's very fast. You can get like speed painting photo bash, but that's not what studios want. They don't want speed paintings. They want stuff that's like that can get modeled, you know. So that doesn't necessarily work in our favor, if that's the case, So yeah, that's a tough question, dude. Some
Can I add
studios.
something to that?
What's that?
Briefly? I was just asking if I could add something. Not that I
Uh-huh.
necessarily have the experience that I do, but I will say I totally am that person. I am exactly the person on the other end of that, and I have been that person for it's coming out of visual effects. Person
Mm,
who can photo bash and can do Blender. And this past year for me, I'm not speaking for anyone else, although I have seen it before, has been just failing over and over and over again because of exactly that. And in
mm,
my opinion, James, you know how you were talking about earlier, doing directional options. To me, if you don't have fundamentals, which I don't right now, and I'm trying to build them up, to me it's almost impossible to be able to do variations that different people will ask for at a basic level if you don't have your foundations.
mm.
And you can do photo bash and blender all day, but like your ability to design and have those foundational skills stretched in different ways is definitely really important, at least in my opinion. But I don't know if James you would
Mhm.
agree, but
Yeah, what's also like an important thing is this is like, there oftentimes there's no like real cookie cutter um type of concept artist, especially when you get into the realms of like working in film, or being a like a high level like conceptual contributor. I think it just goes beyond just like knowing good techniques. It's like knowing how studios work and how they use your work, like for example, be not every location in a film and in a video game needs the same attention by the artists. You know, some areas are meant to be just like, oh, just design it really quickly, and other areas are like, no, we need to really, really spend a lot of time in this certain location because there's just more camera time there or something. So those are like pretty important factors that, you know, change the pace of how you work, and maybe even some of the tools, you know, some of the answers that you have to, you know, address and so on and so forth, you know. But and if you want to be a versatile concept artist that works in multiple industries, I think it's that. It's like know that like your tools and is one thing, but you're really there to solve, right?
With that, do you think that students or like people should be more generalists nowadays, or do you think that specialists are like the way to go? I feel like that's like one of
Hmm.
those big questions.
Yeah. So my thought process is this: is you're like designing your own MMO character, all right? And you
Mm-hmm.
have like every MMO character has different stats, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those stats are like agility and strength and speed and stuff like that, right?
Right.
And but for a concept artist, what are they? You know, like and when you look at these different artists that are out there, some of them are generalists in topic, but some of
Mm-hmm.
them are specific in the way they paint or their techniques, software, genre. You know, some people
Mm-hmm.
only do sci-fi, but they're a generalist in sci-fi. So so nowadays it's like there's no one fishing pole that'll catch all the fish. You know what I mean? So it's I think it's important to at least have some focus. So the way what I was taught back at art school is this: they're like, James, they're like, your portfolio would like never see the light of day at somewhere like Pixar, right? So don't spend your time applying there. Apply it to the companies that would appeal to your portfolio, right? So I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, that's like Activision, like those type of places, right? So, you know, in a sense, it's like just like start narrowing down there at least. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
realism, because you know, like, I mean, the term generalist is, I guess, like, what do you define that as in terms of like doing character, prop, vehicle,
Yeah.
like that?
Yeah, that's what I was sort of thinking, but then like you brought up the point with like the stylization too. Um
Mm-hmm.
and genre I didn't really think like genre I sort of had it in the back of my mind, but I was like, well, if you have your basics and your fundamentals, you could jump between genres pretty
Right. That's
right.
true. That's true. You know, but you know, I would say this is most professionals, okay, most seasoned professionals, right? They
Mm-hmm.
don't they don't so remember you guys all know Ian McKeg, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ian McKeg designed Princess Amidala from Star Wars. Before they hired Ian McKeg, he didn't have a Star Wars portfolio. You guys know what I mean?
Yeah.
He just had a lot of work that showed his way of thinking, his design process, his execution, and people like George Lucas or their production designers were like, oh wow, this guy like designs and solves problems in a very unique way. Let's hire him and see what they could do for Star Wars. So you can't always like have the portfolio piece ready for the client or for the place that you're going to work for, because you could when I got hired for Naughty Dog's Uncharted, which is like present day, real Earth, like that tree over there, it's a real tree, like it
Yeah.
has to be a real tree, right? Um, I came from a fantasy company before NC side. We are doing Guild Wars, so like it was like fantasy lava, like spiky rocks and stuff. So the Rob Rupel at the time, the art director was like, James, your portfolio is all fantasy, but like like I like the way you paint, and I like your sketchbook, so let's try this out. So he gave me a bunch of trains to design, a bunch of trains, and I just like I loved it, you know. So I was like, I put all my heart into the assignment. He's like, "Whoa, cool! Why don't we do this and why don't we do that?" And it just started building confidence because that's usually how they hire. Is that, you know, when they hire or they give you a freelance opportunity, they don't give you like a big steak at first. They give you a little nibble of this breadcrumb, and they go, "Okay, let's see how you do with that. All right, cool. You did well. Here's another one. Here's another one," and it eventually grows into like these bigger opportunities, bigger responsibilities. So, yeah. But generalist, it's a hard one. It's hard. I think, to be honest, it's whatever drives you to just do more. That's what I honestly think.
Yeah, I feel like nowadays I started more as a character person, but then nowadays I'm getting into like environments just to like learn more about it and get more into it. And
Good.
I didn't like it, but now I'm starting to like really like dig it and enjoy it. So I'm like, oh, okay. So sometimes I feel like it could be a thing where like you know, you don't know or you don't really like it until you actually start getting good at
Yeah,
it.
yeah. That's words of wisdom, man. That's very
Yeah,
true.
that's
You know,
the thing.
I'll say this. So when I was at school, when I was art center, and you know, we're all gonna have to graduate one day and, you know, start working and pay off our student loans and stuff. I
Real.
remember talking to Fang Zhu. He was my teacher, and we were like, "Fang, how do you get a job?" You're like, "Huh?" He's like, "What?" Like, wait, that's too general. Like narrow down the question, man. He was like, uh, what do video game studios look for in a student? And they're like, "Oh, you have to have a portfolio that like looks like game art." They're like, "Okay, cool." And then and he's like, "It's usually either character design or environment design." And we're like, "Oh crap, it's character design." I'm like, "Cool. I'm an illustrator, so I study a lot of anatomy and figure drawing. So I'm like, characters is probably that direct path." He's like,
Mhm.
"But right now there's a lot of jobs for environment artists." And we're
Yeah,
like, "Huh?"
exactly. So
And then overnight, I just started drawing environments. It was just that. It was like that simple.
yeah,
Would
You
you
know?
say that your foundational skills allowed you to make that transition pretty fast?
You know, it was. But what I'm trying to say, I guess, is in some ways, it's like it becomes almost like you might think you kind of know the directions, but and then you might come across some information that just pushes you or influences you in a certain way. Um, I Some people have this goal of, I want to stay really true to my artist heart, artist soul, and like I want to do that job and just that. For me, I was a little bit looser. I was like, if I could just draw for a living, that's cool. You know what I mean? Like that was like level one. I was like really happy there. And then so for me, I had no problem just like switching from environments to characters or other way around. I had no problem doing that. Other people I knew that they're like, no, dude, I'm just gonna do this. Like I'm in love with it, and like for example, you know who's a perfect example of that? Mr. Peter Hahn. If you guys know who Mr. Peter Hahn is.
Mhm.
So Peter, he always draw. He's the draftsman ever since art school too, and he didn't really paint much. And we're like, dude, you gotta learn how to paint, man. Like, you know, like for the job in the industry. And he's just like, no, dude, I'm just gonna draw. I'm gonna draw. I'm gonna draw. And like, look where he is now. It's like he's like Mr. Drawing Man, you know. So it's like it's and so what I mean by why I bring that up is follow what you think is just gonna drive you to do a lot, you know, because
Mm.
it's not about how much you do, to be honest. That's the sucky part. It's how much everyone else kind of does also, because you can grow at your own rate. And oh god, Fangzu put it like this, right? He's like, when you graduate, we're competing for the same jobs. Oh, I'm like, can I get a 1 year like junior pass? Like I just graduated. Give me leniency for a year. Like, yeah, right, dude. You know, it's like James or like this guy who like knows everything. You know, they're gonna hire that guy, right? So it was like, yeah, you just, you know, do more, do more. and I don't want to say that in like an abusive way where it's like overwork yourself, but if you I think everyone can relate to this part. If you get on fire, whether it's like you get into a sport or you're like really into this video game and you stay up all night playing it, you don't care if you get in trouble by your parents, you just play. Whatever that fire is, try to ignite that into art and you'll probably get far. Because you're also going to meet other people with that same ignited passion that will pour gasoline onto you and make you hotter, and then vice versa. Because once I met certain people in my path, we were just like, it was almost like dangerous. We are like encouraging each other just to do so much art, you know? Look what I learned today. Oh my God, come here, come here, come here. We practice it. Next day, we're like, oh my God, I was staying up all night trying this, you know? Oh, my girlfriend hates me, or like my wife is pissed off, or, you know?
If you want to find those people, you just go to James's AB1 class. That's exactly where you'll find them. No, but seriously, like it's funny how that's exactly been the experience, Christian, in our meetings. Like I think the past year is you find those people, and yeah, it really is like all you talk about, and it's in the best way. You're always sharing things that you're like, I think this would make all of us better, and you really want to improve that group. It really helps.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember because me and Luke, we are in the same group and we meet each other in your business class, James.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
you said this thing like there are different ways to get in the industry, but the best chance is like by you guys like working together, learning together, stuff like that. So I take notes and I say, let me try.
Yeah, man.
And like was like still today, tomorrow we meet with Luke and with other guys. It's really an awesome experience because when you're learning, you need somebody like to tell what you learn, to see if you're able to explain it, if you understand that topic. So it's really important that. And another cool thing, like Luke is like more in one thing, me I'm more in other thing. Like you see the different approach of these different artists to things you never think about and can be
Mm.
useful. Oh fuck, I can use that thing to add to my tool bag. So yeah,
Yeah.
I that was awesome, and I definitely gonna do more like in the future, like try to
Man, that's great
stay
to
to
hear.
connect to create more connection with more people who not with everybody, but people who have a little bit of fire, like you said, like
Mm.
who want to learn for real. Doesn't matter in which phase you are in your learning curve, but if you really want it, yeah, that's important, I think.
Okay, so I used to do a lot of martial arts, okay? And I used to grow up like in the dojo basically. And if any of you could understand this parallel where you're in this room and you could be like this little kid white belt, but in the same room on the same mats are like these older black belts, and you're just listening to what they talk to. You see what they practice. It's like looking into the future. That's what these groups kind of become, because there's always going to be someone that knows more than you, has an experience, like someone that's already working is like in the group, and you get to leverage. It's like being in the same dojo with like a purple belt next to you, just like talking about stuff, and then they know the black belt, so that they bring them into the conversation, and it becomes this like really cool way to learn. That's what it really reminds me of, and that's what I really miss about being physical together in a room, because that energy is, it's very hard to not activate when you're in a room together. Once this conversation starts, it's like so much activity happens. So having this online, I think, is such an amazing group, man. That's so cool. Like kudos, man. If you share it, like if I don't know if you can or if you want to, if like you want to open up to things, but like share
It's
with
a
people, let
paid
them in.
group. Like if you want to join, you have to pay to me. So no, I'm joking. If you have drive,
Oh,
if you
gosh.
have fire, yes, you can join. If you're not, no. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's
we're just
that's
serious.
cool. And
I
that's
love
fair
to
enough, right?
learn. I
That's
love to learn. Luke is the same. We share like videos, notes, learning stuff, books. It's really a growth mindset group, and that's why I love it. Like we
that's
meet every week, like for 1 year. Like it's
that's
a good thing.
amazing, guys.
Yeah, and
That's
I
so cool to
advise
hear.
to other people to do the same. Like if you can find other people with your same mindset, yeah, just do it.
Hmm. And you know, it's kind of funny where it feels like if it seems like there's a lot of people that want to do it. It just takes somebody to kind of put it together. You know?
It's
Yeah.
it
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like
yeah,
that's
it's like even like I mean, you're good on this. Like you have to show to show off. Like do the group, but to be active
Mm,
and try to engage with people and try to show your art, your learning. I mean, there has to be some like you have to show you're growing, like you try to grow, you want to learn, so people, okay, I trust this guy,
yeah.
so
True.
let's do
True.
it
True.
together, because
Absolutely.
it's really hard to find online community where people are serious. They maybe they can be serious for 1 week or 1 month, but I mean that's it's nothing. Like you want to see growth like in the long term.
Yeah, that's true. It's like the sprinters versus the marathoners.
Yeah, example, Luke, he go to event, there are other guys who do the same, and we change, oh, what do you think about that? I meet this guy, oh, this guy is we work in this too. So it's really helpful, and like to have people who really want to be like in this industry, it's a good thing, like even for the future, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I agree.
By the
That's
way, there
amazing.
was someone at the bottom. I just wanted to make sure that they. I'm mispronouncing your name probably. Is it Caillou or Ku?
yeah. KU. Yeah. Sorry, I was trying to jump in. I think the internet's a bit spotty here, so couldn't get the timing right. Apologies.
Oh, no
Uh,
worries. Welcome, welcome.
yeah,
And
yeah.
thank you for trying to handle the chat, like moderate the chat. That's really helpful actually.
Oh, wait, yeah, no, you're good. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I wanted to ask about that. I think we talked last week, and I'm getting taught by Kingston now. I move countries and all that. So
Oh,
I've
right
been,
on. What's up? Yeah.
yeah, I've been very active in actually trying to find these kind of groups.
Mm-hmm.
I have found some success, but I'm in term three, right? Term three of the famous FZD curriculum, now in a different
Uh-huh.
school, and I know a lot of. I even keep touch with a lot of my seniors, but something I've noticed is that a lot of the basically life gets in the way. So
Mm.
some advice I really wanted was to like how to get continue with these groups after school, because I assume a lot of these form in school. Um, and I think Luke said something. I miss what Luke said just now. It's like, oh, if you want to find these people, and then I miss that part.
Oh,
And
I was making a joke. I was saying, I
oh,
was saying that if you want to find them, you should join James's AV1 class because that's where we sort of found each other and formed that group. But in being serious though, I think like it's tricky, but I think you just gotta find. I think it's easier to find individual people and then bring those people together rather than just
right,
looking
right,
for, say, everyone in a class, because
right,
it's sort of a weird rule, but it's like I, maybe it's sort of a controversial thing, but I feel like it's that thing that comes down to, like, there are 100% of people and 80% of them. I'm not gonna say like don't do effective work, but like
yep,
20% will sort of be really really involved and really care.
right.
And not to discourage anyone or anything, but if you can just like try to look for those people, I think it's definitely helpful to sort of form a community
I know.
around.
I I've tried. It's just I'm gonna keep going. Of course, I've found a few people here and there, but not in the same country, right? Like with the same fire. Um, and Singapore is not as involved, I would say, in the arts. So I remember when I was in Australia, it would be easier to find like drawing groups, sketching groups, like like figure drawings and stuff like that. But I'm just worried because a lot of my seniors, for example, and all the people in the course are like international, so people are gonna going away. So
Right.
yeah, so things like I just want to find more accountability partners, so to say. But yeah, okay. Mhm.
Yeah. I think, honestly, it's that's one of the things too, is there's different, I think, ultimate goals, right? So those, like, we have like the art goal, like, okay, want to get a job, want to make good living, settle that in. Then once that kind of happens, like, some people go into like a family route, or do, you know, start a company or something. Like, a lot of different stuff happens out once we get past that, like, oh, this is my first goal point of a job. I had some friends that are just like, I'm just gonna go to work and then go home and then hang out. Like, I'm not gonna do any art outside of this. I'm done. This is a job now, and I've done my dues. I got my education. Like, it's more like a craft, like a technical craft. You know what I mean? And then there's other people that are like, I'm an artist at heart, and I'm just gonna do art, 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 like art all the time. You know? I think I'm somewhere like kind of in between, on and off. Like, I'm on and off on that like mindset all the time. But where do you think you are? Because I think aligning that up is important. You know?
I knew a visual effects artist who actually had a name for both of those. I mean, not that it's set in stone or anything, but he called it. There's the creative artists who like really are there for the story. Like I'm lean more that way, and then there are technical artists who like really love the problem solving design aspect of it. And it's interesting to always hear from both people. I think definitely is definitely a
Yeah.
really cool thing.
Maybe because I'm in school, it seems like I fall like both things really, really interest me. Like you're talking about design. I'm like, do I like design? Yes, I really like design. But before
Uh
coming
huh.
to the course, I was also I'm basically in love with world building. That's my thing. I love
Mm-hmm.
worlds, I love universes. But then now I'm learning design from Kingston, and my mind's getting blown again. So
Yeah.
I'm every both worlds right now. Maybe it'll change if I can get into the industry and start working. But at the moment, I'm not too sure yet. Yeah.
No, that's good. I think it's then at this time, that, like, maybe don't even worry about it. Just absorb. It's kind of like the ocean. You're feeling the currents of the ocean. You're like, whoa, that current is cool, and it sounds like you're around the right people.
Yeah,
So
it ends in a couple months. That's
learning,
what I'm
dude,
worried
absorb.
about.
That's
Yeah.
cool, man.
James, what do you think? Like, it's a good thing, even in long term. Like, we know it's important. It's really important, like to learn art, like the skilled part of the art, because without that you can express your design, because you're not able
Hmm.
to do it. You have a cool idea, but that's you can't execute. So
Yeah, right.
no point. Do you think there is like a percent, like a 50% of practice, but the rest 50% you have to like live, watch movie, like try to absorb, because this idea they need to come from somewhere, because uh,
Mm.
I mean, you need to absorb a lot, and after you change it, you put a little bit of yourself, and you come out with new concept. But
Right.
do you think like that there is a right way? Like in the beginning, maybe it's better to have like 80% of practice drawing and less of this, or what do you think about that?
So my thought on that's a good question, dude. It's always learn how to punch before you learn how to fight, I guess. So knowing the technique was very important. Um, for a concept artist, oh man, I think uh okay. So when I worked in advertising, there was a really cool technique that we used called scrapping. Basically, looking at scrap. So let's say you had a client for the new Nike shoes, and they run in the forest. It's a forest running shoe, and they're like, come up with a cool campaign, and you're like, oh my god, this is challenging. Like, you just look through magazines and you just look at commercials, and you eventually find things that inspire you. But it's like it's seeing the elephant in the room. Once you have that target in your mind about Nike shoes in the forest, and you see some other idea, your mind is somehow able to like connect these things. I think it's so important to develop that, you know. Like, I would design a whole I was working on this one sci-fi project, and all I would watch was this nature show called Earth Moods. If you haven't seen it yet, it's on like Disney Plus or something. Earth Moods. It's like these sick drone aerial shots of just the landscapes, like nature. But I would somehow see sci-fi cities in it because my mind at that time was so focused on sci-fi. They talk a lot about this in this design documentary called Abstract on Netflix. There's this one designer that says, whenever I get stuck, I just go into a taxi cab and I drive around New York for like 3 hours, and I'll eventually find the answer. And I think part of being a concept artist is like, yeah, know how to draw, know how to design, but like know how you find inspiration that leads you to design an idea. Whether it's sometimes movies, or reading, or like experiencing a music concert, and you're like, whoa, this would be a cool video game level, like because of the lasers or something. I don't know, I'm just kind of like thinking off the top of my head. That's a whole other muscle, it's like an experience muscle, right? I think that's really important to develop.
I think Kosh asked I'm hoping I'm pronouncing it right, asked a question that I feel like actually has to do with that. You can unmute your mic if you want to, but I can also read it if you whatever. I'll read it out. But he said,
I appreciate you reading it out. I
You're good?
have to load my webpage, so I forgot what I wrote exactly.
Oh, no, you're good. Yeah, definitely. He said, what's your advice to artists that have good technical skills but struggle with delivering diverse concepts? He said, for example, speaking for myself, I can get a really solid concept for the first 1 to 3, but hitting 8 to 10 good concepts can be a struggle at times. And he's had people go back to choosing the first 3 that he does.
I see. You know what's interesting about that, I think, is what I would say is it's not about learning how to develop more. It's actually, I think, learning how to deliver your ideas in smaller pieces. So if you have 3 good ideas, try to figure out a way to do a mild, medium, and spicy version of each good idea. Then you have 9, right? So in other words, let's say idea 1 is a bunch of squares, idea 2 is a bunch of circles, idea 3 is a bunch of rectangles, okay? And then like other shapes. And then the client is just like, oh, I like these 3. Then what I would try to learn is how to not design uniquely, but like how to design sort of in that depth, because like if you have a cheeseburger and they're like, oh, I like this cheeseburger, if you just add different toppings to that cheeseburger, same cheeseburger, but it's just something new. It's like, learn how to do that in a way, That's what I would say. That's a method that I like to use because when people are looking at ideas, have you ever looked at an image for the first time? Okay, I'm sure you guys look at images for the first time all the time. But next time you look at an image for the first time, look at it and see how long it takes for you to like absorb it and really understand what's going on. It takes a while.
You mean from a like story perspective, or from a design perspective, or like composition?
Anything. Composition, you could try this with your friends, like do a design challenge with each other, and then just show each other the work, and then just look at it, and you're like, okay, wait, hold on. Your mind first tries to just figure out what is going on in the image. Second, it starts to look at like design cues, relatable cues, And then lastly, it finally gets into like the narrative or the storytelling or like the key points of it. It has to go through these layers. And because even your client has to do that, I like to make my art as simple as possible. Where if one piece of art has 2 notes on it, that's too complex. I have to make it a single note. You know what I mean? And that's sort of the art form of knowing how to deliver thumbnails. Thumbnails are not just your ability to create ideas. That's how we do it. But how to show it? See, like, do you guys know what tapas is? Do you guys ever go to like Spanish tapas? These little small plates of food, right? Technically, they're just like little bits of a bigger dish, but not necessarily. If you get tapas and there's like arrangement of all these little dishes, that's what thumbnailing is. You have to like learning how to present these ideas so that people go, oh, I see like it's almost like a menu. Like, oh, I see like you have a fish burger, a taco, a steak that's so different from each other. It's like really understandable, you know? I'm starting to get hungry just because I'm always talking about food. Always talking about food. My favorite analogies.
Would you say that with doing like something that I feel like I've learned over the past year trying to do these iterations is like I'm not sure what it's like for you, but is really before you start any of the iterations, let's say you're doing 10, is to really plan out what the 10 are going to be. Is that something that you find yourself doing at all, or do you sort of just start with one, finish one, and then go to the second, and
Oh,
then go
what
to
I
the third
do
and
is
fourth?
this is okay, if you guys can figure out how to do 4, okay, 5, whatever the number is, it's usually a system. It's usually a system. There's usually a exploration of A, B, and C and D. Like I'm gonna like character design. I'm gonna do a tall person, a short person, a buff person, like a fat person, like whatever the archetypes are, right? And then, or if you're doing an environment, like let's say you're only doing alien, right? There's like tall shapes, flat shapes. You know, we have these parameters. That's like a system. You know, it's a system. That's what are design systems. And that's what I think is really important to develop, the design system. You know, it's so let me show you like this. A design system, and I break this down in like one in my classes a lot. But this is a design system. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see. Yeah, let's go 5. Right? So like twinning, rotating. So if I use this system and I just did it with another shape, we would know how to design that shape really, really fast because we could use this system. That's what's good to develop. That right there. You know, and if you could do that with characters, you know, it'll be. It's like, oh, like, you know, there's an asymmetrical character. There's a character with like, you know, something attached to the shoulder or big heavy metal. Like, there's these things that you know we kind of use as like these big design cues. When I do my exploration, I try to figure out these systems. You know, I get intrigued by watching. You guys ever watch these shows called How It's Made? It's like on like the History Channel or like National Geo. And they always talk. There's like some
Yeah.
factory that's like making some tool that you never knew how it was made. I get so intrigued by these systems, and I'm like, man, that's like art. I wonder if art could be like that. And then I got into cooking shows, cooking, where these chefs would cook, and I'm like, they sound like concept artists, man. You know, like sort of the delivery, the goal, the preparation, the you know, like understanding these techniques, and like there's a series of order of things that need to happen to come up with a final result. It's like sometimes if we shortchange one area of design, our result comes out pretty bad because we didn't follow the recipe that we were taught. So I'm like, man, I don't know. That's I'm just kind of thinking out loud, but for some reason those things appeal to for me together, and I somehow try to bring it all together. So sometimes when I cook, I feel like I'm doing art. You know, it's kind of like it's a fun, I don't know, it's a fun way to break it down. But I would practice that, like these design design fundamental like design theories.
Design systems, man. I've been trying to like get better at this past year, and I never heard that term, and that's so awesome. I wrote it down.
Nice.
Developing a design system. That's great. So thank you. I know it wasn't even my question, but thank you for that anyway.
No problem, man. That's why I love having sort of like these organic conversations, because I was trying to sit back and like think about some topics to think about today, but this is such a better way to do it. We talked about so much cool stuff already, you know.
Yeah.
Let's do this comment, man.
I have a question. I did have a question. I've asked this to. I mean, in these other like Discord calls that I've been at with people from like the Concept 101 Discord, or there's another art director. He started a community called the Art Nest. His name's Timothy Mathon, and I was asking him this question, and I figured I'd ask it to you.
Sure. What's up?
But not to do with like anything that I think we've talked about before. But
Uh-huh.
I just wanted to ask because I think it's important. So you, having been as experienced as the other people I just mentioned, probably way even more experienced, what things, and this can be anything from technology to things that you're doing to things that the industry is doing, just what are you excited for? I think because a lot of people are just like, it's it's a tough industry right now. It's a tough world right now. Like, what things are you looking forward to? The things that you're doing, just things that are coming out.
What am I excited for? Okay, so I know that there's a lot of technological fear focus and sort of that sort of thing, but history, I think, is one of the best teachers. And in history, I think something that I've noticed and something I've been taught is that when something pops up, there's a vacuum. Okay, when something comes up here, something void happens here, somewhere on the opposite side of the spectrum. It happens with art movements. It happens with like the invention of the camera made art change. Do you guys know that? Right? Like abstract art, and like it became more of a prevalent thing once some device came out that was able to capture realism. So realism art now had a shift. It wasn't as important anymore. So that's what's happening here, right? There's like a technology that's going to take over a certain area or like have an impact on it. So what's the vacuum? And what's really interesting is there's such a reaction with people when it comes to like designing, like the thinking, the more tangible art aspect, you know. I'm excited to see what that vacuum creates, to be honest, because there's always going to be another reaction to something like that, you know.
Interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, at least for myself. And I guess like on other terms, man, in a way, I feel like this industry is getting a little like it's, and maybe you guys know what I mean. It got a little stale. Like movies were like this like rotating machines of just making movies, and they felt like the same. Like, wait, didn't I already watch that? It was like a different movie. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and so I'm
Totally.
excited to kind of see the renaissance. You guys know what I mean? The rebirth of like creativity to be a little bit better. Uh, I think they're starting to come out. There's more voice. It feels like. Well, I wouldn't say more, but it feels like there's like people that are coming out more that are like trying to push that. Um, do you guys hear that there's like these platforms that are trying to promote like like indie directors to get like funding? So there's like so much more voice of going outside of the major channels, that are controlled by like the big broadcasts and stuff, which I think is kind of cool. Like
Yeah,
indie games, like gosh, like some of the biggest games right now came out of indie
yeah,
games, garage games. That's insane. That's so badass, right? Like, if that could happen more in the future, like that's how Apple started. They were a garage company. Microsoft, Amazon, they all started like that. What's gonna happen when some of these, garage video game companies like get out there and do stuff like Helldivers? It wasn't Minecraft like an indie game too, Insane.
Yeah.
I think
I,
Expedition, the new like this new game, Expedition 33, was
yeah.
all bunch of ex Ubisoft people. They got
Nice.
Yeah, yeah. I
I
think.
really sorry. Go on.
Oh, yeah. I think I was just. I think on that. I feel like in the same vein as movies, video games I think are losing a lot of art style, like stylizations and design, because so many technology that's coming out there are like super good, Undead Engine and all this. Everything is ultra realistic and it's
Mm,
making it super efficient. But then I think people are getting sick of the art styles. So I think the void that would be happening that you're talking about in video games, especially, could be
mm-hmm,
a lot of people are saying like we miss the style. Like look at Warcraft; it's like older than some of the people working in the
mm-hmm.
industry, and and it is still holding up because of the art style. I think style is something that is a void that's happening right now, especially with all the technology that's making people disregard it. I feel.
Yeah, good way to put it, man. So, and I'll be honest, you're kind of the generation that's going to control all of that. Do you guys know that?
That would
Yeah,
make sense. Yeah,
I
that's cool.
believe.
Yeah, you're like mine. I'm kind of like already phased out. Like I'm riding the wave of what was the past, But it's your generation coming in that's gonna totally own this space, you know. That's what's pretty cool. You guys are gonna influence the way where it goes.
I really believe James right now. Like it's look like almost like the game company. They don't care. Like they fire everybody, and I think it's a good moment like for us because as an artist, uh, we don't have just the ability to draw, but like the creative side. It's a big thing. Like not many
Hmm.
people have that, and I really believe like if we can learn like all these skills and try to make fuck Ubisoft, we can make like small groups and make our own stuff and see what happened, like our own movie, because there are so many people who have different skills, and I believe with the technology right now allow us like to try to make accessible the, like to have a chance to make something like the guy who was talking before, like there is this French game like Claire Obscure. It's crazy. They use the latest technology from Unreal Engine, like meta human, to have really expressive characters,
Hmm.
and because now like it's easier to do, and
Yeah,
yeah, like, I'm really positive about the
that's
future.
good, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we were talking for a long time. This is a good conversation today.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
I'm
Yeah.
enjoying. Probably gonna maybe call this done in maybe like the next 10 minutes or so. But what else can we talk about today? I love the conversation that we're having today, everybody. This is really cool.
Um, I mean, this is a more technical. This is a more technical question. I just realized someone had asked, "Hey James, what kind of app is this? Is this better than Discord Lives?" I guess maybe
Oh,
go. They're talking about
GoToMeeting?
GoToMeeting. Yeah.
Yeah. I just have better luck with it for some reason. And I think it helped. I don't know. So if you guys are cool with it, I'm pretty new to kind of this space of doing any of this live broadcasting, so I'm open to like suggestions too if you guys think there's anything that works. But I
Yeah.
guess I'm just an old dog that doesn't know a lot of the new tricks, so I'm just using what I know.
No.
I
Yeah,
feel
I
like
think it
this
works
guy's
fine.
head is like quite large.
I mean, speaking of it, you just said that, and as it relates to the last question, do you and to the question that I had asked before that, do you as far as like just you as an individual, like are there any new projects that you're really excited to work on, or are you working on any new projects, or are you sort of just focusing on the painting for now, or like do you have any, not even that you have to say what it is, but do you have things that you have
Mhm.
that you want to do, like bigger things?
Let's see. Kind of
And by no
the
means you do not have to, but I was just curious.
Yeah, no problem. I think for now it's kind of just be in my own art space for a while. That's kind of like my main focus. Um, it,
Yeah.
it's been a long time since doing art for other people. Just kind of doing that all the time. And I know that's kind of like that was always the purpose and always the dream. Um, and so after a point, it was just like I wanted to just kind of do art for just a little bit, and I think that's where my focus is coming and that sort of thing. Um, in terms of like excited for other things, I don't know. I want to. It's a good question. I'm actually like so focused on being a dad also that I think like any free time that I have outside of doing this is like kind of going there too.
Yeah,
But
that totally counts as an answer. It didn't have to be an art thing, but I think just honestly knowing how different artists, like successful artists like yourself, or where they're at in their lives is also just really useful to know. Like what are you up to? Like what are your priorities? Like that's great.
agreed. But yeah, I thank everybody for coming in for this live stream. It was really fun, and thank you for being part of the conversation contribution. That was it made a lot of help.
Great painting. Looks great. Wow.
But yeah, if you guys want to join me for next week, also we'll be doing it the same thing, same time. We'll see what we can like design that day. But yeah, it was pretty fun. So thanks for joining in, everybody.
Thanks, James.
Thanks, y'all. We'll see you guys next time.
See you guys.
Conversations too, y'all. Take care.
Take care.
See ya. Bye.